Most people think expensive means better, especially in watches. But that's not always true. Brands like Rolex are amazing, no doubt. But you're also paying for the name, the hype, and the status. Then there's Tissot, a brand with real history, real quality, and prices that actually make sense. In 2026, some Tissot watches don't just compete with Rolex. They quietly offer better value for what you get every day. Number 10. Tissot Everytime. Swissmatic Rolex's entry point, the Oyster Perpetual, is a masterpiece of restraint and refinement that costs enough to make most people pause for a very long breath before committing. The Tissot Everytime Swissmatic occupies the same aesthetic philosophy at a price that makes the pause entirely unnecessary. Slim, clean, and possessed of an elegance that increases the less you try to analyze it, the Everytime Swissmatic carries a Swiss automatic movement regulated by ETA and finished to Tissot's own standards, which is to say, standards that have been building since 1853. The dial is uncluttered in a way that only confident design achieves. The case sits on the wrist with a lightness that makes forgetting you're wearing it genuinely possible. In a world that increasingly equates volume with value, the Everytime Swissmatic whispers, and the people who hear it clearly enough to buy one consistently discover that a watch asking nothing of you except your wrist can give back more than you expected. Number 9. Tissot Locle Automatic. The Locle is Tissot wearing its heart on its sleeve. Named after the Swiss Valley where the brand was born in 1853, it is a watch that understands exactly what it is and presents itself with the quiet confidence of something that has nothing to prove. The guilloche dial decoration, applied with precision that rewards close inspection, creates a surface so texturally rich that photographs simply cannot do it justice. The exhibition caseback reveals a movement with a finishing quality that dress watches at twice the price often fail to match. Rolex's Datejust occupies similar emotional territory. The Swiss dress watch that marks occasions, impresses without effort, and improves with every wearing. The Locle delivers that same sense of occasion, that same feeling of having chosen correctly, for a fraction of the asking price. In 2026, for the buyer who understands that heritage is something earned over 170 years rather than purchased with a 5-figure price tag, the Locle is the answer that respects that understanding completely. Number 8. Tissot Seastar 1000 Automatic. The Rolex Submariner is the most famous dive watch ever made, a cultural artifact so thoroughly embedded in the global imagination that wearing one communicates something before a word is spoken. The Tissot Seastar 1000 Automatic makes a different kind of statement. It communicates that you know the difference between a name and a watch. The 300-meter water resistance is identical to the Submariner's rating. The unidirectional rotating bezel clicks with a precision that tool watch purists demand. The automatic movement inside delivers Swiss reliability without the theater of Swiss luxury pricing. On the wrist, it carries a genuine dive watch presence, bold, legible, built for water, and entirely comfortable above it. In 2026, with Submariner prices having drifted into territory that makes the actual watch feel secondary to the investment thesis surrounding it, the Seastar 1000 offers something increasingly rare, a serious Swiss dive watch that exists simply to be worn, trusted, and enjoyed without a second thought about what it cost. Number 7. Tissot PRX Automatic. There is a moment in the history of watch design, the early 1970s, when integrated bracelets and geometric cases rewrote what a sports watch could be, that the watch world has spent 50 years attempting to revisit. The Tissot PRX Automatic visits it without apology, without self-consciousness, and without the price tag that the original integrated sports watches of that era now command on the secondary market. The bracelet flows into the case with a seamlessness that required genuine engineering to achieve. The slim profile sits on the wrist with an elegance that the thicker modern sports watches, for all their capability, cannot match in formal settings. And the automatic movement inside, running for up to 80 hours on a single wind, delivers a mechanical experience that transforms a beautiful object into something you interact with rather than simply observe. Rolex has no direct equivalent at this price point. That gap in 2026 belongs entirely to the PRX. Number 6. Tissot Gentleman Powermatic. 80. The word gentleman is used loosely in the watch world. Tissot uses it precisely. The Gentleman Powermatic 80 is a dress watch that means it. Slim enough for a shirt cuff, refined enough for a board meeting, mechanically serious enough to satisfy the buyer who knows the difference between a watch that performs and a watch that merely looks the part. The 80-hour power reserve from the Powermatic movement means it runs through the weekend without a single wind, arriving Monday morning still ticking with the calm reliability of something that was built to outlast your schedule. The sapphire caseback elevates every wearing into a small moment of mechanical pleasure. Rolex's dress offerings at comparable case sizes cost 4 to 6 times more and carry heritage that is genuine but ultimately invisible on your wrist. The Gentleman Powermatic 80 is entirely visible in the quality of its finishing, the satisfaction of its movement, and the consistent daily rightness of wearing something this good for a price this reasonable. Number 5. Tissot Visodate Automatic. Some watches feel modern, some feel classic. The rarest ones feel timeless, outside of any era, belonging entirely to themselves. The Tissot Visodate is that kind of watch. Originally launched in 1953, the same year Edmund Hillary summited Everest wearing a Rolex, the Visodate has been refined across 7 decades into something that wears its mid-century DNA without nostalgia or irony. The silver sunburst dial shifts in different light with the easy beauty of a design that was right the first time. The date window is framed and presented as a feature rather than an afterthought, the Visodate design giving the date its own visual weight within the dial hierarchy. The automatic movement keeps time with a reliability that the watch's unassuming presence consistently understates. In 2026, for the buyer who wants a Swiss automatic with genuine vintage character, real manufacture heritage, and a price that leaves money for the rest of life, the Visodate delivers all three without asking you to choose between them. Number 4. Tissot T-Race Automatic. Not every watch should whisper. Some should walk into the room and make themselves known immediately. And the Tissot T-Race Automatic does exactly that with the kind of motorsport-derived energy that Rolex's Daytona has channeled into one of the most coveted and least attainable watches in the world. The skeletonized dial reveals movement architecture through a design language borrowed directly from the instrument panels of racing motorcycles. The case angles and curves create a profile that photographs dramatically from every angle. And the automatic movement inside delivers a mechanical experience that transforms the wearing from passive to participatory, a watch you feel engaged with rather than simply adorned by. Rolex's Daytona costs more than most cars. The T-Race costs less than most car payments. Both make chronograph passion accessible to the person who has it. One of them also keeps the rest of your financial life intact. The math has always been straightforward. Number 3. Tissot PRX Powermatic 80 Chronograph. The chronograph complication is one of watchmaking's great pleasures. The satisfaction of pressing a pusher and setting a precise mechanical process in motion is something no digital timer replicates, regardless of accuracy. The Tissot PRX Powermatic 80 Chronograph packages that pleasure inside the PRX's already extraordinary integrated bracelet design, creating a watch that manages to be simultaneously sporty and elegant, complicated and wearable, technically impressive and visually beautiful. The bicompact's layout keeps the dial clean and readable despite the additional function. The integrated bracelet continues to be one of the finest bracelet-to-case executions at any price point in Swiss watchmaking. And the combination of automatic movement and 80-hour power reserve means the chronograph never comes at the cost of daily convenience. Rolex's Daytona achieves similar aesthetic goals at a price that requires genuine financial commitment. The PRX chronograph achieves them at a price that requires only a decision. That accessibility is its own form of excellence. Number 2. Tissot Seastar 2000. Professional. At 600 meters of water resistance, the Tissot Seastar 2000 Professional enters territory that Rolex's standard sports offerings do not reach. Territory occupied by working professional divers, saturation diving operations, and serious underwater researchers who need a watch that treats depth as a given rather than a limit. The helium escape valve is present and functional, not decorative. The ceramic bezel insert is virtually indestructible and color-fast for a lifetime. The bracelet is substantial and well-finished, with a diver's extension that opens with the kind of tactile precision that serious dive equipment demands. Rolex's Sea Dweller reaches similar depth ratings at 3 to 4 times the price and carries the mythology that comes with decades of professional dive association. The Seastar 2000 Professional carries the capability, and in the water, at depth in the dark, capability is the only currency that matters. This watch has more of it than anything else Tissot makes, delivered at a price that respects the intelligence of the buyer completely. Number 1. Tissot Locle Tourbillon. Here is where the value argument becomes not just compelling, but almost impossible to counter. The tourbillon is one of watchmaking's most technically demanding complications. A rotating cage that counteracts the effects of gravity on the movement, invented by Abraham Louis Breguet in 1801 and pursued by watchmakers ever since as the ultimate expression of mechanical mastery. Rolex does not make a tourbillon. The Swiss houses that do make them charge prices that begin in the tens of thousands and ascend from there with enthusiasm. Tissot makes one, and it wears the Locle name, carries the brand's 170-year heritage, and delivers the visual and mechanical spectacle of a tourbillon at a price that makes the complication accessible to buyers who have always deserved to experience it. The rotating cage is visible through the dial in a way that transforms every time check into a moment of genuine wonder. In 2026, for the buyer who wants the pinnacle of mechanical craft without the financial recklessness that the pinnacle usually requires, this is the answer. The most compelling value argument on this entire list, by a considerable distance.